Karma's a bitch.
Queen of Karma.
Why, hello, everyone. I hope that all of you are having a wonderful night, a wonderful day. I mean, whatever it may be, wherever you are. I'm in Canada, just so you know. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Beth Gibbons, or Queen of Karma, and I am a whistleblower and a consumer advocate who speaks out against coercive control and the systems that use it. I speak from experience. I am a survivor turned activist, exposing multi-level marketing companies as commercial cults and highlighting the cult-like tactics used to recruit, control, and silence members. And my friend on the platform, Danny DeHeck, nicknamed the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger by New York Times, runs a blog that I have been writing for. And Danny grew up in the Jehovah's Witness cult, and he has told his story on his blog, and you can go and check it out. But I thought it was time that I share mine. I've given bits and pieces, but wanted to put a condensed version out there so people can understand who I am, more about what I've been through maybe, and what I'm doing here. Help you fully understand, well, me. If you are new, welcome. I hope that you stick around and go through this recovery process with me, as I am still unpacking a lot of my own trauma along the way. I'm here to spread awareness and hopefully help educate people about these awful cults, the coercive control they use, and trauma, and what trauma can actually do to a person. So this is my journey through faith, fraud, and finding my voice. The link for this is down below. I've spent countless hours unpacking the messiest parts of my life alone in my living room. The kind of deep dives into memory and meaning that leave you staring at the wall long after the kettle's gone cold. What I didn't realize was that those quiet, solitary moments were the start of a story worth telling out loud. This is the story of how I grew up in faith, walked through control, and found my voice. Growing up in faith. From the outside, my childhood looked devoted and purpose-driven. I was raised in an environment where belief wasn't just a personal choice. It was the framework for every decision, relationship, and goal. Faith was everything. But as I got older, I began to notice cracks in the foundation. Questions I asked were met with defensiveness or silence. Doubt wasn't seen as a step toward deeper understanding. It was seen as dangerous. I grew up Catholic, which meant Sunday school, church choirs, and the looming milestone of confirmation at 13, when you're meant to devote yourself to God forever. Forever is a long time when you're still figuring out your favorite band. I was also a Girl Guide, which taught me that groups could be used for good, community service, friendship. It wasn't until much later that I learned groups could also be used for control. I tried to be popular. The more I tried to fit in, the more I realized I was shrinking myself. My thoughts, my questions, my individuality all had to be filtered through what was acceptable. This was more apparent when alcoholism and narcissistic abuse were introduced to me in my preteen years. Control, however, didn't always look like someone shouting orders. Sometimes it was subtle, such as a raised eyebrow, a change in tone, a reminder of what good people do. Over time, I learned to self-censor, to anticipate what others wanted before I even spoke, sometimes before they even spoke. After my mother had some drama with the church choir, or at least that's how I understood this as a child, we stopped attending that parish. In high school, I worked at a United Church camp. It was progressive, inclusive, and unlike my Catholic upbringing, openly accepting of LGBTQ plus people. It gave me a glimpse of religion without judgment, and for a while, I had a healthy relationship with faith. The spiritual rabbit hole. In college, I decided to explore my spirituality, which, in the age of the internet, meant falling into online communities. Some were quirky, some were questionable, and one revolved around Teal Swan, a big name in the self-help spiritual influencer space at the time. From there, I was slowly pulled into the coaching MLM world. By the time that I was married and had become a mother in my mid-20s, random people started asking me to join my team. MLM distributors really did prey on my vulnerabilities after I gave birth to my daughter. Around the same time, I began exploring atheism, watching YouTube creators unpack their religious backgrounds. I started doing the same, but alone, in my living room, without yet realizing the high control group parallels. Then came It Works, then Sensi. I've told these stories in full on my channel, and the links are in the article to them. But leaving those MLMs was a turning point. I recognized the same patterns I'd seen in my abusive relationship, which I left in 2013, and in leaving religion. Love bombing, control, guilt, shame, and the slow erosion of self. You guys still with me? Connecting the dots. I didn't just wake up one day ready to spill everything. It's been a slow, deliberate peeling back of the onion. At first, it was just me in my living room unpacking years of beliefs, habits, and unspoken rules I'd absorbed without question. I began sharing small pieces of my story here and there, almost testing whether my voice could carry beyond those four walls. Although there was an anti-MLM community growing on both Reddit and YouTube, not many people were talking about how leaving an MLM can trigger the same trauma responses as leaving an abusive relationship. Not many people were discussing how leaving a high-control religion could trigger the same, but I saw it, and I knew that I could add something to the conversation. The honesty and clarity of those speaking out about MLMs and religion on YouTube at the time helped me see the patterns I'd never noticed before, the subtle manipulations, the way hope and belonging were used as currency. Bit by bit, I connected the dots, and in doing so, I started to deprogram myself. In October of 2019, I launched my YouTube channel. I started with r/anti-MLM reaction videos, then moved into multi-hour cult deep dives and reactions. For the past 6 years, I've been speaking from experience, not just as a survivor, but as someone who's studied trauma, worked in mental health, and lived through multiple systems of coercive control. It was time to start peeling back the layers out loud. owning my part. I'm not here to pretend I've always been on the right side of this. I brought people to church and told them to believe. I promoted gurus who didn't deserve trust. I asked friends and family to join my team more than once. I've been diagnosed with CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, that I've suffered from since early childhood. And while I'm not ready to unpack all my early trauma publicly, I can say this. I've seen trauma, I've lived it, and I've helped others through it. I graduated from St. Lawrence College's social service worker program in 2010 with awards and honors, and I've worked with people facing severe mental health challenges. Leaving these toxic environments wasn't just about walking away. It was about facing myself. I had to ask, where had I allowed fear to make my choices? Where had I stayed silent when I should have spoken? Owning my part meant acknowledging that while I couldn't control the system I was adopted into, I could control how I respond to it. It meant forgiving myself for the times I didn't know better and committing to doing better now. And recently, I uncovered something that reframed so much of my past. I'm autistic and I have ADHD. This explains why I've always been deeply analytical, even of myself, and intensely self-aware, with a lifelong fascination for psychology, sociology, and the study of the human experience. It also sheds light on my constant search for meaning through spirituality and religion. It might even explain why I kept trying to shrink myself to fit in and why I constantly sought out community. I'm still piecing together what all of this means. But I know now these parts of me have shaped not only how I see the world, but how I've navigated it. Why I share. I could have kept unpacking all of this alone in my living room. Honestly, I probably would have done most of the same daily actions, reading, researching, connecting dots, without ever hitting upload. But sharing my findings is my way of giving back. Speaking out helps me heal, and it helps others see the patterns before they get pulled in. By watching channels like mine and Danny's, by reading articles like this, you're part of the resistance against cultic systems and scams. Even if you've never been a victim, you're helping, and that's pretty awesome. We're building a community of people who want to learn, help, and grow. And in an odd way, I guess I finally found the community I've always been seeking. Thanks for helping me find my voice. And hey, if you're still unpacking things alone in your living room, that's okay. We're still doing this together, and we've got this. And I want to thank you all for allowing me to have a space here to share these things that I find with you in the hopes that maybe people out there watching will see something that I say in some video or live stream that I do, and that maybe it will wake them up so that they leave one of these culty systems, or even teach them something that will help protect them from joining one to begin with, which would be the ultimate goal now, wouldn't it? Without all of you being here, I would not be able to do this. It really is you guys that keep this community going. So again, I want to thank everyone for supporting me on my journey, because to me, you're not supporting my channel, you're supporting my recovery and helping me speak out about this so that we can save other people from it. And I'm going to keep unpacking things, and maybe I'll do an updated article one day where we go deeper. Or maybe one day I will be strong enough to sit out here and bawl my eyes out on camera while I really tell the whole story of everything I've been through. But, I will when I'm ready. And I also suggest that nobody else ever tell their story before they're ready either. That's for sure. I hope that all of you have a fabulous, amazing night. Thank you so much to everybody that came to listen. Even if you're in the replay crew, thank you so much. And I hope that I will see you all tomorrow, because I will be going live hopefully tomorrow to talk about Scientology, and it's a very important one for me. Thank you, Sam, for being here. And thank you, Nev, for the $10. Love your work, Queen. The only Queen of Canada worth following. I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And we're just going to keep on trucking her. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep diving into these things, keep exposing them. And like I said, while I'm doing it, I'm simultaneously unpacking my own things with all of my own abuses, whether that be, childhood, spiritual, or from being in MLMs, or being fair gamed, or whatever it may be. And I think that that's a good thing, It's a good thing to be on this healing journey, and I love that all of you are on it with me. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous night. I love all of your faces. Please subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you soon. Bye!